Hello and welcome to the Crone Zone. I'm Lynn, and today I wanted to share with you some cards that I've been drawing for some upcoming planetary configurations. On the 19th of February, which is Monday next, the Sun enters a sign of Pisces. And on that same day, we have a body called Chiron conjuncting the North Node. And I also like to pick up a theme that I see running through all of these events with the full moon that we have in Virgo just 5 or so days later on the 24th. It seems to me there's a very significant theme to pick up on here. Let's talk just a little bit about Chiron first. There's some debate about whether Chiron is an asteroid. Some people claim it's a comet, and others that it's an object from the Kuiper Belt, which is trapped. But I would point you in the direction of the brilliant work of a woman called Melanie Reinhardt. This is her book, Chiron and the Healing Journey. This is a woman who opens windows in your soul. I mean, this is an amazing book. And this is someone who lived the experience. It's not coming from the head alone, although there's a wonderful brain in there, but it's coming very much from embodied, lived experience. And in a much lesser way, so is this post from me, because I have been living this Chiron energy over some days now. Okay, so maybe that's my affair. Why do I feel the need then to draw cards on it and to share this information with you? Well, the reason for that is because Chiron, the wounded healer, to do with our wounds, that part of us, that wound within us which does not heal, is conjunct, that means right on, the North Node. And the North Node I'm talking about is the current collective North Node. I won't go into anything behind that, it will overcomplicate things. But let me just say that we can see that as our soul's, collective soul's direction of travel at this precise moment in time. Now, of course, a planetary conjunction like this isn't a precise appointment. It's an energy vibration that goes both forward and backwards, and often is like a tuning fork that strikes a note that then reverberates. It's a little the same with the moon, with the lunar placements too. Yes, there's a precise moment, and that will be telling, but it's so much more this tuning fork idea, the vibration, the sound goes backward and forward in time. And certainly, I feel I've been picking up on that of late. So, cutting to the chase, there is a wound, a fundamental wound that we take on with incarnation, and maybe even it's older than that. We may bring it from previous incarnations that we bear. It's also perhaps our major point of opportunity. And at the moment, we are being asked to explore this wound, which will be specific to each of us, in order to evolve, in order to go on that trajectory of evolution, of soul evolution in a collective way. So this is important. And what can feel like your own personal pain is very much a part of a collective move forward for us all, for growth. So let me talk just a little bit about Chiron. Chiron in mythology was a centaur. He was half man, half horse, born of gods and a nymph. And he was rejected by both parents because he was a monster. He was half animal, half human, didn't seem to fall into either camp, and he was rejected and outcast. From this outcasting, Chiron became, he was wounded with a wound that would not heal. He bore his wound for his entire time. But it gave him insight into being very wise and into being a healer. So he is the archetype of the wounded healer. And this notion that from our own wound, we are able to bring healing forward. And it is the wound itself that enables that. So, looking in the tarot, we would think of the incarnating soul very much as the Fool energy, coming into this world without fear, coming in ready for this next round, this next adventure. I want to use the deck, the Wildwood Tarot, for much of this, and the Fool in the Wildwood is the Wanderer, so it's very similar. It's this Wanderer energy, Fool energy in that deck. Now, Wordsworth says, "Not in utter forgetfulness, nor in nakedness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from heaven, which is our home." Maybe that is true. I think it is. But I think that it is a huge shock entering 3D reality, and that in itself can be a wounding, can be a primal wounding. Now, this video isn't about me, but let me share with you my own chironic wound, coming from observation of my life and life review, which I've been involved in lately. And for me, it's the fact that everything which I hold dearest, everything which seems to me of the deepest truth and of the deepest meaning, is not held as valuable by the overculture that I'm in. It's disregarded, often thought of as not even existing. And that has been my wound. It's one of rejection. It's one of being an outsider. But I also perceive that it's also an area, here I am now speaking to you from that wound precisely. It's the reason I'm here speaking today, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not seeking to be self-indulgent. That's not what this is about. It's just to share that with you. And we all have wounds. Yours may be very similar, it may be different. But mine is that one: I'm an alien, I'm an outsider, I am not accepted by the overculture. I don't belong, really and truly. That's me. That's my wound. Okay. I want to just show you the figure of Chiron. Now, if we were using the Rider-Waite, the Chironic figure would be the Hierophant. But much as I adore Pamela Coleman-Smith, this figure doesn't instantly speak of Chiron to me. The figure that does is the ancestor from the Wildwood deck. Partly because this is a half animal, half human figure like Chiron, but also because it goes back into very, very deep time. There is a wounding for all of us of being separated from Eden, from the innocent identification with the physical, with the animal self that has been severed. But also the pains of the ancestral line going back in time. And I believe that the wounds we're carrying right now are our personal one, but also the wounds of previous generations in our genetic heritage. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about my own sense of wounding, but I was thinking back to the people who'd gone before me, and I was finding a trail of wounded children, um, frequently orphaned children, just going back. And this is very common in the past. Life was more precarious than it is for us here in the West at the moment. And people's lives could be cut short, and there were a lot of traumatized, orphaned children. When I speak about the full moon in Pisces, I will be returning to the inner child theme there. But I feel this is something that's very in our face at the moment, because we are inundated with imagery of suffering children in our world, all over the world. I mean, there are specific areas where this at the moment seems horribly intense, but there are suffering children everywhere. And this must say something very deep about our lack of spiritual evolution, that the very essence of what it means to be an emerging human, to be a child, is being harmed and threatened and traumatized so much. And I think that as well as our own wounding, Chiron is calling us to look at the wounding that's being inflicted, unnecessary wounding that's being inflicted on the collective children, as well as our own inner children and ancestral children. So, with this Chiron conjunct the North Node, there is this huge need for healing. And it's my belief that if we begin with ourselves, raising our consciousness of our own wounds, examining those, examining our ancestral wounds, that we help in some way to mend the collective, that we help to restore one by one the fractures, the pains, the tears that are there in the collective psyche. But this particular figure also reminds me, and how can we not be reminded, of the massive wounding that we have inflicted on the earth. We know we are part of nature. We don't live in nature or on nature, we are nature. And in inflicting the massive woundings that we've inflicted on the earth, we also inflict them on ourselves. And we're seeing an awful lot of imbalances at the moment, all of our own making. And in that area, we have some real reparation to make. We do have real atonement to make. There are actions we all need to take to heal and help that. Let me correct an error that I realise I've made earlier in this video. The sun goes into Pisces on the 19th of February, which is exactly the same day that Chiron conjuncts the North Node. And I want to discuss that Pisces energy, that Pisces sun energy, as being part of this wounding theme. The full moon, I think I said it was in Pisces. It's not. When the moon is full, it is always opposite the sun. So if the sun is in Pisces, of course, the moon will be in its opposite sign of Virgo. Now, there are many perspectives to the Virgo full moon, and please check out other people talking about it, because I am coming in on the health, wounding aspect and looking very closely at that, because it resonates for me so much with what I've been receiving in my own mind and what I'm getting about the Chiron North Node conjunction. So I'm staying very much picking out an overview, a theme, a recurrent thing that I see there. But it's not the exclusive to other interpretations of that moon. So let me talk a little bit about this axis, which is from um, Pisces to Virgo. Now, this it would be in the tarot. The Pisces full moon would be shown by the sign of the Hermit, which is the Virgo card in the tarot deck. This would be the Hooded Man in the Wildwood Tarot. It's rather wonderful image, that of the Hooded Man, I think. A very similar figure. So we know that the Hermit is about discrimination, the inward journey, reflection, going within, lived experience to gain wisdom. And Pisces is the Hanged Man. And this, again, I'm coming in on specific aspects of Pisces. Pisces is complex, potentially the most spiritual of all the signs, and also potentially the most illusory or delusionary. Neptune, which rules Pisces, is an outer planet representing spiritual world of spirit, really, a nebulous world that it can be hard for humans to access. Anything I say here about Pisces, I'm also saying about myself. I am not Piscean. I'm Libran, but I happen to have the planet Neptune absolutely sitting on top of my sun. So I am majoring in Neptune in this lifetime, and the energies of this planet, for the good and the bad, are ones that I have felt and have embodied and know and continue to know through lived experience. But the Neptune Virgo axis, because they're opposites, is very much about health, healing, wounding, but it's also an axis of victimhood. We can go to the negative aspects here of this hanged man, this surrender, this sacrifice, into victimhood. And this is something we really need not to do. Whilst we are raising our wounds, they're there, they're just a fact. We have to overcome our egoic pride and say, oh, guess what? I'm broken. I'm not complete. No, I am complete. I'm just not perfect. I am complete, wounds and all, is the complete package. But I'm not perfect. I'm busted. There's an area of me that's wounded. There's an area of me where there's a wound. It doesn't go away. It's there. The ego, if the ego can accept that, instead of trying to cover it up, oh no, I'm okay. I'm cool. I've got it all sorted. I don't hurt. I don't, we're all vulnerable. We all have areas of vulnerability. If we didn't, we would run the terrible danger of thinking we were the whole package. And that would stop us from tuning in, aligning, and receiving all the love and all the gifts that we receive from that which is greater than we are. And it's often our wounding and our sense of aloneness which reconnects us with Source and with the fountain of our greatest resilience and strength. So anyway, enough of that. We have to acknowledge our wounds where we are vulnerable, in complete hurt, without self-pity. They just are. We have to say, how is that a gift to me? How may I use this as a gift? Carry it and use it gladly as a gift, and use it as a point of growth. It can be your greatest point of growth. So my message for the full moon in Virgo on this Pisces Virgo axis is discriminate, have wisdom, do not fall into victimhood. That, self-pity, victimhood, and no place for that here. Self-compassion, yes. Self-knowledge, yes. Self-love, yes. Self-indulgence, self-pity, victimhood, no. So that's the big message that's coming through there. Now, I drew some cards. Really, when this was all hitting me, and I was trawling over a life review, it was almost like a near-death experience. I was going through and through and through all these key moments in my life where this wound kept coming up and up and up and up. And I drew cards on this. And one of the cards that I got was the Seven of Bows. And if you look at this, you can see that there's a broken bow lying there on the floor. And then the card that I got with it was the Archer. You've got to get firing your arrows. This is rather like chariot energy. Get out there. You've got a quiver full of things to do. Arrows to fire. Your arrows of desire in William Blake's terms. You have to fire these. You have to do this. But look, your bow's broken. You've got to clear out that broken bow. You've got to get past that broken bow. Use the bows that aren't broken. Use what is full there and can, and fire those arrows. So I see this again as a message for us to heal. Heal what's broken so that we can be firing those arrows. We can be doing what we need to be doing. And we're not letting our wounding impede that. Okay? We're doing it in spite of it. It doesn't matter. It just is, It just is. So we have to go forward anyway and clear out what's broken. So I'm aware that this isn't the easiest of videos to sit and listen to. And I had debated whether to post it or not, but in the end I thought I should. When I was drawing cards, I did get a very hopeful card, which was this one, which is a card of rebirth, of spiritual renewal. That gives me great hope that out of our healing process, new things will come, that these are stages that we must get past. Now, in a world which so needs healing, politically, geographically, geopolitically, spiritually, in all sorts of ways, of course, there's much that we can do there. But I do believe that the period of this Chiron conjunction and of the Virgo full moon is a time for us to clear out our own breakages, acknowledge the fault lines in us, if you like, and do some healing there. And I wish you love in that process. I hope that these words have been useful. I wish you love and compassion for your own wounds, wherever they are. And I also hope that we can all remember the gifts that lie beyond the wounds that we can have to offer here. So I'll leave you with that and wish you well and wish you love. Thank you.